I knew something was off the moment I saw the animal control van crawl up my driveway. The engine hadn't even shut off yet, and I already had that sinking feeling in my gut. You know, the one that tells you someone's about to make your day a whole lot longer. I looked down at Duke, my German shepherd, sitting calmly beside me on the porch like he always did, ears alert, back straight, wearing that old faded K9 vest that still somehow looked sharp in the afternoon sun. The officer stepped out, clipboard in hand, trying to put on a professional face, but I saw the hesitation. His eyes flicked to Duke, then to the badge on Duke's collar, then back to me. "Sir," he said, "I'm here responding to multiple complaints about a dangerous and aggressive dog at this address." I raised an eyebrow and let out a small breath through my nose. "Not even mad, just tired." "Let me guess," I said. "Karen Richardson?" He didn't say anything. Didn't have to. The pause, the slight shrug, that was all the confirmation I needed. "My name's James Harrison. I'm a retired police officer, spent 20 years serving the city, and for 8 of those years, I had the honor of working side by side with Duke, the best damn partner I ever had. He's not just a dog, he's a decorated K9 officer. We've tracked missing kids, taken down armed suspects, and, more times than I can count, walked into situations together where I wasn't sure we were walking out. When I retired early because of a bum knee, the department let me adopt Duke. At 12 years old, he'd earned his couch just as much as I had. We moved to Maplewood Estates thinking we'd finally get some peace. Small community, nice yards, quiet neighbors. At least, that's what I thought until I met Karen. Now, I didn't know a lot about HOAs before moving here. Never really had to deal with one. But it turns out, when the wrong person gets a little power and a clipboard, it can get real messy real fast. Karen Richardson is the HOA president. Early 50s. Always dressed like she's heading to a garden party at Buckingham Palace, and with the personality of a buzzsaw. From day one, she made it clear she didn't like Duke, said big dogs don't belong in family neighborhoods. Never mind that he was better trained than half the teenagers around here. Never mind that he barely barked, never chased anyone, and mostly just lounged in the sun or let the neighbor kids throw tennis balls at him. Karen didn't care about facts, she cared about control. At first it was small stuff. Snide comments on our morning walks, clutching her tiny Pomeranian like Duke was a wolf. Then she started filing formal complaints. Said he barked at night. I checked the camera. He didn't move from his bed. Said he chased kids. I had video from Tom across the street showing Duke asleep under a tree while kids ran circles around him. And still, she didn't stop. She started standing at the edge of my property, snapping pictures from behind bushes like a discount private eye. Sometimes she'd try to provoke him, clapping her hands. Stomping. Duke would just tilt his head like, "Really?" Then one day, we ran into her at the community mailbox. She had her little princess in a rhinestone-studded purse, barking her head off. "That beast of yours has got to go," she said loud enough for everyone to hear. "This is a family neighborhood, not a training ground for attack dogs." I just kept sorting my mail. "He's a retired K9, Karen. He served the city for 8 years. "I don't care if he served the Queen of England," she snapped. "Big aggressive breeds are a threat. The HOA rules say. They say pets can't pose a threat. Duke hasn't threatened anyone." She got real close, eyes narrowed. "We'll see about that. I've documented everything. Animal control will deal with him." And sure enough, 3 days later, Officer Williams showed up in that van. He asked to see Duke's licensing, vaccination records, the usual, and a behavioral assessment. I invited him inside, opened the filing cabinet, and pulled out a folder so thick it could stop a bullet. Duke's entire career, federal K9 certification, commendations, medals, even a thank you letter from the mayor for tracking a kidnapped child 2 years ago. Officer Williams flipped through the paperwork, wide-eyed. "This dog has more recognition than half my department," he muttered. Then came the test. He tossed a ball to check for aggression. Duke looked at me first, waited for the nod, then gently picked it up and brought it back. No growl, no bark, just like training. That's when Williams changed. "Someone filed a false report about a government K9, he said, his voice tightening. "That's a serious offense." I just pointed out the window, and sure enough, there was Karen, watching from across the street, arms crossed like she was waiting to see Duke taken away in cuffs. Instead, Officer Williams got back in his van, made a few calls, and within the hour, 2 squad cars pulled up. I recognized both officers, guys I'd served with. They were not happy. They walked straight over to Karen's house. She answered with that smug look, which evaporated the second she saw the uniforms. I couldn't hear the conversation, but I could see it all. The animated arm flailing, the head shaking, the desperation. Officer Bradley pulled out his tablet and showed her video I had given them of her stalking around my fence line, making sudden movements, tossing small objects over to try to provoke Duke. Video that showed Duke doing exactly nothing in response. Just laying there, occasionally blinking. Next thing I knew, Karen was handed a stack of papers, a $5,000 fine for filing false reports about a service animal, a cease and desist order, and a very serious warning. Next time, she might be arrested. Word spread fast. Real fast. That evening, folks were already talking about it at the park, at the store. By the end of the week, the HOA had called a special meeting. Karen tried to spin it. Of course, said she was acting in the best interest of the community. Said she didn't know Duke was a police dog. But then the testimonies started. Tom stood up and showed videos of his toddlers playing fetch with Duke. Sarah talked about how Duke alerted her when her elderly father wandered off one night. Even Mr. Peterson, the cranky war vet who yells at kids to get off his lawn, said Duke was the most respectful dog he'd ever seen. Then came the moment that floored the whole room. Maria Gonzalez stood up, a woman I hadn't seen in months. Her daughter was the one Duke found in the woods during that missing child case. She drove over an hour to speak, with tears in her eyes. She told the story how Duke tracked her little girl through the forest, through a storm, for 16 straight hours, and found her alive in an abandoned cabin. This dog is a hero, she said, and anyone who tries to hurt him should be ashamed. The room broke into applause. I looked down. Duke was at my feet, tail wagging just slightly. He always did like Maria. The vote to remove Karen as HOA president? Unanimous. Except for her own vote. She sat there, frozen, face pale, eyes wide, clutching her papers like a sinking ship. And when it was done, she grabbed her purse, muttered something about protecting the community, and stormed out. And as she walked away, someone started clapping. Then everyone did. Not for her, for Duke. He stood, gave a little bow, an old trick from his demo days, and just like that, he was officially the neighborhood hero. So yeah, that's the story of how my retired canine partner, who was once accused of being a danger to the community, ended up becoming its most loved resident. Funny how the truth always finds a way out, even when someone tries to bury it under petty complaints and HOA nonsense. But now I gotta ask, what would you do if someone targeted your dog, your family, out of spite? Have you ever dealt with an HOA president like Karen? Let me know down in the comments. I read every one of them. And if you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who knows the value of a loyal friend, two-legged or four.